but you never know what could rear up at us from wherever it is we end up. So, how about a quick blast of him?
Keeping money in a savings account where it earns interest is logical. Keeping money in a checking account for convenience is also logical. But it's fascinating when you combine interest and convenience in Atlantic Bank's Interest Plus Checking, the account that draws 5% interest compounded daily on the same money you're using to write checks. How is it done? Ask your Atlantic banker.
Yes, here we are. Wow. We're coming back at you from the nearest wormhole and hailing us from the USS Warp Drive live, returning for the first time in quite a lot of star dates. And here we're here with the crew, slumming it, sort of, I suppose you could say, in our very own, very, very nicely, generously stocked snug or drinking den. Let's call it 10 backward. 10 backward, Keith. Does that fit? And we're going to be serving you.
We all know we prefer the back passage.
We're going to be serving you a Trek talk, a banter, and other bollocks right up your alpha quadrant. So sit exactly where you are, and we'll bring it directly to your table. Here we are, everybody. Welcome back. So I'm happy to say we've got the only person who's dressed for the occasion. He's not in uniform, but it's near enough. Gary Akers in a Star Trek tiki shirt
and a hat.
Yet again, you win hands down.
Well, on these kind of theme days, I like to, why
Bring
not?
it.
I mean, I don't go out for Halloween. I don't cosplay. This is the nearest to cosplay that I get.
There you go. I don't think we would never wish to dim your light in any way or dampen your parade. Chris Bowles Trek. The clue is in the name. Of course, he loves Star Trek. Bowles Trek himself. Chris is back as well and in uniform, I see. But is he in fine voice? That's what everybody's wondering, Chris.
Yes, I am. And that's not a cartoon. That's what I actually look like. Like Gary, I dressed for the occasion. And yes. Am I in fine voice? Well, without providing too many spoilers, the Trigger Train might possibly be making a return this week to completely eviscerate a certain terrible thing that is going to rear its head on Thursday. But before we proceed, Dan, one last thing I want to say. Skydance, you still have a few days to pull this thing. So between now and Thursday, cancel it, make it go away. That's all I'm going to say.
Speaking of last minute,
that shit, baby. Batgirl, that shit. I really, it's only going to do you good to get rid of it.
I got plans, man. I got plans.
Oh.
Speaking of last minute decisions, I'm wondering if Keith Isles from Home Media Minefield is regretting his decision to sit in the guest chair this time for Warp Drive Live. Welcome back, Keith. Happy New Year to you, mate. Good to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, good to see you too. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. This might be the only episode of this that I actually come on, because I'm not planning, really to watch the thing you want to talk about. But I'm always happy to talk about Star Trek. As you can see in my name there, LSWOT. That's a podcast that I used to run called Let's See What's Out There. So you can guess what that podcast was about. Right?
There you go. And as you're our guest, Keith, what would you go for out of this little lot? Would you go for the top row at the back, or would you be really brave and go for the shorter, stouter bottles?
Well,
at the front? Which one?
It would have to be the Romulan Ale, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, for the Romulan Ale. Okay, we'll reach some of that and we'll send it over to you by the old by the replicator. You should get that in about half an hour. So just when the show starts to get really bad.
That'll be my drinking quota for 2026. One drink.
Does blood wine completely wipe you out if you're a human?
You never know. We can hope.
That's the thing I thought you would have known, the comparative strength.
Rabbi, you're a notorious lightweight, of course. You boast about this all the time. Rabbi from another planet is back for another tour of duty with us. It's good to see you, mate. And I know that you love Star Trek and you love to talk. So of course you're going to love talking Star Trek. But did you ever want to go sit down in the real 10 forward? Was this the kind of place you could have ever feel that you could have hung out?
I would have been much happier on Firefly, right? All things considered, right? Look at. I love Star Trek. Don't get me wrong, but you're talking about next gen Star Trek, which I love. I actually watched episode 10 of Picard, season 3, whatever. The only season I consider a season, like 2 nights ago, and it's glorious, right? What was it? Thing where they get back together again. One of the best ones I've ever seen, right? Absolutely fantastic. It's a great end captain to Next Generation. That having been said, fuck me, I wouldn't want to hang out with them. Really, the original series crowd, sure, right? Yes, you could get Lady during the Next Gen universe, right? Next Gen timeline. They were very up for that, right? And weirdly, if I was there, I would be super hot because that's the only people in the Star Trek universe, right? So. And so would who I'll be sleeping with, right? I'll get a shuttle to Riser. I don't know. I haven't thought this through, right? But it's still.
You haven't thought it through. That's not like you were talking. I mean, when it comes to TNG, David, I always felt that the best wingman that Data could ever have was going to be Riker, and I think you're very much out, Commander Riker. I think you'd be a pretty good wingman to have in a bar on a singles night or something like that. I think I could go in with you with confidence.
Thank you. I would hope so. I might not be able to get my leg over the chair as well as he has, but I did have a back issue like Jonathan Frakes did, so I might have to swing the old leg over the chair. But thank you. Yes, I would try. I can't obviously play the trombone as well as he does. But I'll give it a go, and I'd even grow a beard for you. So there you go. Yes, thank you. Yes, I love TNG, love the original series. Went a sort of little bit away from DS9 because I figured, unfortunately, I was at university then, and if you missed an episode, I found it very difficult to pick up again.
That's true.
Voyager, I dipped in and out of, like most people did, but I'm a huge fan. That's
the safest thing to do, I find, in most circumstances, to dip in and then dip out again with regularity. We've got people in the live chat as well. I think various Trekkers and Trekkies, Treksters have turned up. So we're joined. Adrian James is here in the live chat. So is Sentai Ranger Donny. Welcome back, Warp Drive Live. Yes, it's been that long since we did one of these. I'll be amazed if any of you can remember. Davey B96 is here. Meant to put quality isn't great. There you go. Does that make a sentence if we rearrange the words, Davey? Is that how that works? So try again.
I think if you can understand that, the world would end.
Yeah. Funky says it's a bit like Weatherspoons in the 24th century. Now, I think he's talking about 10 forward or 10 backward, which is obviously where they let us.
I would rather be in the bars in Picard, right? In Picard season 3,
yes.
I really liked the world building they had there, right? And the non-Federation world. Well, those bars were. I love the gangster rap Ferengi. For example, he was awesome. Cool. But I just love that whole. It felt like, I don't know, when you see a Star Trek cartoon and they have like non-Federation stuff, it kind of felt like the same aesthetic. It really worked, right?
Star Trek cartoons, whatever next. What are they going to serve us next? Heaven only knows. It's all out there and all fair game for us to talk about here on this show. It's going to be lively. It's going to be random. It's going to be casual. It's going to be a bit cheeky as well. Always cheeky, never blue. Well, okay, maybe we might get a bit blue later on. But yeah, we're here back on deck after such a long time to refresh on all things Star Trek. You might think, well, why Star Trek and why now? Well, it's because Star Trek is just entering its 60th anniversary year. It's brought us a lot of on-screen pleasure, I think, over the decades. That's something that we've all got in common. We've never been shy about that. And so what better a thing to anchor this conversation in? I did say anchor. So yes, Star Trek famously started out as a sort of space western, the brainchild of former copper Gene Roddenberry. Bit of a notorious character. You know, we know so much more about this guy now, don't we? Bit of a womanizer. You know, you do feel sorry for his wives. But in many respects, he was a kind of a kind of visionary. His Wagon Train to the Stars TV show drew all that inspiration from several periods, didn't it, in Earth history and exploration. And when he did get a pilot organised, the rather sort of highbrow, The Cage, which I always felt like it was inspired by Rod Serling and The Twilight Zone and all that kind of thing, cost a bloody fortune. They rejected it big time, and so they had to commission a second pilot, didn't they, with all the fist fights and short skirts that they knew people would enjoy a little bit more, I think. And that's when the iconic Kirk, Spock and McCoy trilogy sort of became a thing, and they became icons, didn't they? All of this happened against the backdrop of pioneering moments in history. The civil rights movement was happening at the time, and so was the space race. And so all of these themes, they played into it as well, didn't they, Keith? And it was a way of, they could reframe those times there and then, but through the lens of a make-believe, a perhaps 23rd century. In some ways, it's the simplest idea in the world, and yet it's a stroke of genius in others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 60 years, wow, something that's actually older than I am. I love it. Yes, yeah.
Somebody had a hard New Year.
I think the first time I actually found out what the word allegory meant was because I was reading when I was a kid, I was reading an article about Star Trek, and it said that very thing that you've just put very well about how it is an allegory and a mirror held up to what's going on in the world at the time. So I think Star Trek it's been a bit sort of escapist, space opera, a little bit thought-provoking sci-fi. It's been a lot of things, I think, over the decades, and that's what's been so great about it. But it's always been about exploration, with a utopian vision, and I think that's what the essence of it is, whichever sort of crew or skin you try and wrap it in, really.
I remember as a child, David, I used to see imagery like this all the time of rockets and space shuttles blasting off from Cape Canaveral and places like that. I used to find it so thrilling, so exciting and inspiring as well. And I just wonder where all that imagery's gone now. I think we're a lot sort of more domestic in our thinking. We think more about internally of ourselves. And I think that as human beings, we probably did all need to collectively work on ourselves. But I think it's sort of gone too far in the other direction now. I think we ought to be looking at the stars a little bit more. And that is something that Star Trek did for generations of kids, didn't it? Just at the right time.
Yeah, it was that dream of just, instead of internalizing, looking inward, it was that dream of exploration, and there might be better sort of, there's a better life when you try to explore new things, and try and get on with people rather than not get on with people, and just learn about different civilizations, different places you can possibly go, and to expand your mind rather than limit it. So it was sort of like building a dream, or building a new, I hate to say empire, but building a new sort of way of life and a new way of looking at things.
Reframing things. Of course, there's always resistance. There's always resistance to that kind of thing, isn't there? And some parents didn't approve. Networks certainly didn't approve. They tried to cancel the show over and over again. Didn't they, Gary? And there was this 30,000 letters got written to NBC, and that did save Star Trek from cancellation once or twice, didn't it? These mass organized campaigns, but eventually the 5-year mission was curtailed at 3, wasn't it? And they tried to pull the shutters down on the whole thing. How did that affect American culture, do you think, at the time? Do you think it just spurned people on? And the cancellation of Star Trek was probably, do you think that could have actually fueled geek culture as much, if not more, than Star Trek itself?
Well, I think one of the things that it did, because you're right, after the, they had letter writing campaigns, which helped during the, to get the second season on the air, but it really helped to get the third season on the air. Unfortunately, when they brought back the third season, I think the first 2 seasons were like on like Monday nights, like on prime time and stuff. And then when they brought it back, they put the 3rd season like on Friday night at 10, which is like a death slot. Because the kids are out, teens are out doing stuff on Friday nights. It was on too late. But the one thing that it did is I think it was the show that really kind of birthed the syndication movement, because they took those as a package and they sold it to the independent stations to run whenever they want, which really, to the extent and to the success that Trek had not been seen before, because it became a phenomenon in syndication. And then what really helped it during the decade when between 69 and 79, the first movie, is that was really the birth of the conventions, in New York, and all these people, which I guess stunned the actors, that they would have these hotels full of people, fans wanting to hear from the actors. That hadn't been seen before, really, ever. And it's through the conventions that sustained not only Trek, but then, we have conventions for everything now, genre-wise.
Hashtag campaigns now rather than letter writing, but it's the same idea.
And it's all down to Trek, those first Trek conventions in the 70s.
The phrase that we use, Rabbi.
I didn't think of that.
The phrase, right. We have a phrase for it now, Rabbi, which is a sleeping giant, when something is sort of really quite popular. It grows in popularity, but it's not actually a living, breathing thing, but it's waiting to be stirred, waiting to be reawoken, I suppose. And Star Trek was impossible to hold down. And so it did return in shortish order, really. It only took 9 or 10 years, and a series of movies just totally blew up at the cinema throughout the 1980s, didn't they? And into the 90s. So it's quite miraculous when you look back, and it didn't take as long, I think, as people think it did, but the wait for the fans must have been agonizing.
Sorry, me? Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, you, yeah.
Because I was there at the time. Yeah, between Star Trek 3 and 4 was a long time, and it was being made, but we were how was that? I remember that because I remember from between 2 and 3. 2 was more like I liked it, but it was the same year that Blade Runner came out, and I was like very enthralled with Blade Runner.
There was a lot of sci-fi, wasn't there?
Yeah. I mean, it was great in the early 80s. Oh, it was fantastic. And then but yeah, I mean, listen, they totally retooled it from the first one. But it was a fantastic series of movies, right? Iconic series of movies. I think I think it probably earned that place in pop culture, and then the movies came to fill it. Make it legitimate.
Yeah. That was where I came in, because them being big movies, they were on the back of like packets of cornflakes and things like that, Keith. There'd be a comic strip run by Marvel. They printed various strips of it, to black and white reprints of it, as summer specials, annuals, and things like that. So I was more aware of that side to it than anything else. But eventually, it completely dominated the small screen throughout the 1990s, though, with a set of shows, which I suppose that coincided really with the expansion of both cable and satellite TV, certainly in Britain. And so having a machine like this pumping out how many episodes a year? 60 episodes of various shows per year, and being able to strip them in the way that Gary described it happened in syndication in the 70s, in the 90s, all over the world, meant that Star Trek seemed to become this sort of juggernaut, didn't it, Chris? And as a lifelong Star Trek fan, that must have felt pretty good for you too.
Yeah, well, and Star Trek is, I think, the earliest case of something that became a massive phenomenon after it was over, because even though, I was not around in the early 70s, the story goes as it got its following on syndication. Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know, it's just 5 days a week. People would watch it after school. I think a lot of people actually thought it was still being made. I'm like, where did the Star Trek thing come out of? So it's sort of the first modern fandom. And like everyone, well, most people, I discovered the original series first, long after it had ended, in the 1980s, and oddly enough, it wasn't even syndicated. It wasn't on TV where I lived at the time. So I experienced the original series largely out of order because they were all out on beta.
Yes.
So this is how the beta. This is how far back. So I would experience it where, usually summer vacation, Christmas vacation, March break, and things like that. My dad would always. That's when we got our new Star Trek episode. So we would rent the tape from the video store, and then we had 2 VCRs, so we tape it. So I had all these all these tapes of 4 to 5 episodes each. So I got to experience my introduction to Star Trek later, out of order. And oddly enough, to this day, like 40 years later, I still associate Star Trek, the original series episodes, with the first time that I saw them. And I've done a rough count. I have seen probably every episode of the original series. I would say minimum 200 times. I think some probably close to 500 because I used to watch this show over and over again on a loop. I even had audio tapes where I taped them off TV. Like, I was absolutely obsessed with Star Trek when I was a kid. Star Trek was everything. So I remember when I guess we call it our generation of Star Trek, which was after the movies The Next Generation in 87, that the first 2 seasons were not carried in my area. But a guy that owned the video store used to tape it off satellite and we'd get it that way. But I remember when the Next Generation came back, which was our generation Star Trek. And even though I think now we can admit those first 2 seasons are not good. No, not so much. The second one is 50% good, 50% terrible, but most of that first season is awful. But even as bad as it was, I'm like, I'm watching new Star Trek. I can't believe I'm watching new Star Trek. It's not very good. I don't care. I love it. Those early
ones in season 1, which were really awful, you just ended up kind of loving. What was the one where they're on the planet where the butch black women have to fight each other?
Code of Honor. That was the third episode.
And the naked now. It was like Star Trek, is what you're saying. I agree with. It was like, oh wait, but
it's like Star Trek, but it's different. And I think I was like 9 when The Next Generation premiered. So do the math; you can find out how old and fossilized I am now. But I remember in my young 9-year-old brain, because we, the youngins out there, we did not have the internets back in the 80s. We had Starlog, I think was the main magazine where I got it, or we'd have write-ups in the newspaper. But all I knew was the new captain was bald, and there were a bunch of people that I'd never seen before. But in my 9-year-old brain, thinking as 9-year-olds do, somebody who at that point lived and breathed the classic series, and by the time Next Generation started, pretty much knew every episode by memory. I was expecting it was going to be just like the original series. I was expecting the same music cues, same everything, same ultra colorful Star Trek. Here's a trivia thing for you. Why is the original series so colorful? Because NBC owned it, and NBC wanted colorized TVs, so they made this borderline colorful, almost to the point of being a cartoon, and I love it. It's got such a unique look to it. But I remember when the Next Generation came out, I'm like, oh, wow, so this is going to be just like it. Then I saw Encounter at Farpoint. I'm like, wait, what? No, where's my music cues? Why is this bald guy? Why does he hate kids? Why is he scary? I was terrified of Picard. I'm like, this is a terrifying man. What's with Data? Who's this Riker guy? He kind of seems like Captain Kirk.
But what you're talking about, though, Chris, what you're sort of looking at and identifying in yourself is that impulse to get behind this brand. Because as much of, and obviously I think back then it was associated with a particular set of actors, and it's completely understandable why. But now I think it's associated, it's expanded to become about a set of, an edict, a set of ideas, a particular toy box of iconography of gadgets and cool ships and all that kind of thing, and also the way that it makes us feel. And so I've been doing quite a lot of reflecting about this as I realized it was going to be the 60th anniversary year, and we're going to be comparing some more experiences. as we get deeper into the conversation as well. So whether you've been a Star Trek fan for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or 40 years, however long your mission has been, there'll probably be somebody on the panel who you'll be able to relate to, I think. And all those little foibles, all those things you miss, all those bits and pieces you want them to bring back. And maybe some of them are coming back as well, too. We're going to be speculating on what the rest of 2026 may bring. We've got that entirely.
And now my mood is ruined.
We've got that entirely new series that debuts next week as of time of recording. And yeah, I've been rounding up everything official Star Trek has confirmed that is coming our way sometime soon on what Paramount have described as a fan-centric anniversary celebration throughout 2026. That's not... yeah. They've got to be careful using language like that, haven't they, Gary? You know, we're going to be centered on the fans for this because it does builds expectations.
Really? Fuck them. Really? Fuck that. Okay. I just look. We're not all in Hollywood. We all know you're lying. Like, really? Don't lie to fucking face. Fuck you. All about the fuck you. Have you seen
Happy birthday, Star Trek, and fuck you.
Really? Really, grown men would rather shove their own fist up their ass rather than watch it. It looks like the worst thing in the entire world. Like, this is for the fan. Which fucking fan wants that?
Well, I'm talking.
Well, no, Rabbi, I think he's talking. He's not talking that Academy is fan-centered. He's talking that the whatever the 60th celebration is going to be.
What that? Well, listen, if you got a huge dying stinking piece of shit in the middle of the room, I don't care. Like, you better have several lines to give you a hand.
I'm not saying that you might not be right, but there are other things. If you get your sensors working, there are other things out there that they have got plans. So if you don't think you like the look of that, you may like the look of some of the other things that they've got lined up. So who knows? We may surprise and delight you with what's coming up.
I need you to stop staring at me like that.
Never.
Nope. Obviously, everybody, we can't talk about literally all of such a huge franchise over the next couple of hours. Look at this as an opening assignment. Get your comments in the live chat there on YouTube, and we'll motor through what we can. Everybody is welcome, and yeah, there's lots to share. Star Trek premiered on American TV on the 8th of September 1966, long before my time. Brits, Keith, we got it years later. So July the 12th, 1969, still before my time. And they screamed Where No Man Has Gone Before. So that was the second pilot. But it being the BBC, they'd only got it in black and white, Keith. So can you imagine how that might have looked?
No, absolutely. I mean, that was before my time as well. My memory of it is probably similar to yours, Dan, in so much as I think I'd seen the advertisements for the motion pictures on the back of Star Wars comics, which I was obviously reading as a child and really into the Star Wars thing, and that kind of fed into Star Trek. And what I seem to remember the BBC doing in the UK, at least this is my recollection of it. So around the time that Star Trek the motion picture was coming out, they started to rerun the original series in color on television, and they were kind of doing that during the week. I used to tune in for that, and then at the weekends they were rerunning the Star Trek animated series, which to me fitted in perfectly with the original series. So
that was a bit of sensible cross marketing, then, is what you're saying.
I thought so, and I loved it as a kid because suddenly there was all this Star Trek, and then obviously the movies were the things. The original movies were what originally got me into it, And what I found great as a child growing up, again, my recollection was we would have a Star Trek movie one year, and then in between we'd have a Star Wars movie, and then we'd have another Star Trek movie. So it was just a great time. And as Rabbi said earlier, 1982 in particular was an absolutely fantastic year for sci-fi. And even the ones that couldn't see at the cinema would later catch on home video. So again, I was kind of glad to grow up in that home video era, where I was able to catch some of the films that I couldn't see at the cinema, and also get to catch up on the series as well on television. And that led all the way through to obviously Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then all of the other series through the 90s, etc. So for me, it has absolutely been a key part of my life from as far back as I can remember as a child to where I am today. Star Trek has always been there in some shape
in many ways. I always feel like our memories, I feel like we live very similar parallel lives. You just recounted virtually my entire experience as well.
We're about the same age, aren't we?
Yeah, I did used to go to the rental shop to rent VHS tapes, and there was a couple of Star Trek episodes of the original series, David, that had been banned by the BBC. They were seen as too contentious. The topics, we were talking about the politics earlier on, that the allegories weren't thick enough. They worried that people would see them and get confused and enchanted by some of the ideas. And so the BBC banned a couple of them, but they put them out at CIC or Paramount Video, put them out on video cassette, and you could rent them and finally see them. So that lines up with sort of what Keith was saying. But you're a bit younger than us, aren't you, David? So what was your experience like? Was it similar to Keith's, or was it wildly different?
It was. My dad, God rest his soul, he was not a fan of science fiction, bless him. My mum loved everything from UFO across all that sort of Jerry Anderson stuff, all that sort of stuff. So she was really into Star Trek. So we basically, if he was at work, because he was in the forces, so if he was at work, we would huddle round the telly on BBC Two to watch it. If he was at home, we'd get up into basically we'd huddle round, my mum, my sister, myself, around a black and white or colour knackered old sort of portable TV to watch it on BBC Two. And my first Star Trek memory, I would have been about 5 or 6 watching a BBC Two repeat. And it was none other than Captain Kirk wrestling the Gorn.
Glorious.
It was one of those ones. And another one I remember quite clearly is the fact that my sister developed a fear of walking next to flowers because she thought she was going to get sprayed with some magic dust that would turn her into a bit of a hippie. Make
it happens. It happens.
Could happen to anyone, Rabbi, couldn't it?
Make her want to work on a farm for the rest of her life, but wear horrible dungarees. So I have a lot of memories of childhood of Star Trek, the original series, and I essentially I'm only a couple of years older than Chris, and that's essentially how I felt about The Next Generation coming online as well. It was amazing. And we actually, if I just may finish, watched a pirate video of the search for Spock. And the always thing I will remember about that pirate video is that there was one person that kept getting up to go to the foyer because all I saw for most of it was a pair of shoulders.
The joys of piracy.
I'll tell you what, I have to say as well, one other just a memory to sort of add in here as well is, as a lot of you know, I went to film school in my 20s, and as Chris pointed out at the beginning of this, I've done some acting and I've made some films and acted in some stuff, but my first ever foray into anything creative, and unfortunately there is no photographic or video evidence of this, which could well be a good thing, was when I was at school. I actually produced a Star Trek play that we did in front of the school, and I sort of wrote, produced, and directed it before I even knew what those things were, really, and played Kirk. So, and I am kind of disappointed actually that it was never captured on video, and we don't even. I've gone through every single photo from my childhood, and unfortunately, there's not even a stills photograph of it. But we built a sort of makeshift set of the Enterprise bridge.
Oh my gosh!
It was very rudimentary, by the way, on the stage. And then I had, we essentially wore the colors, we wore the costumes, and I remember I had the one of the tech guys at the school queued up with an audio tape. So I started off by standing it in front of the console on the bridge and basically doing the mission statement, the space thing. And then he would hit play and it would play the Star Trek music while we'd all get into our
awesome
spaces. So yeah, again, I remember this very strongly, even though, as I said, I don't have any photographic evidence of it, sadly. But it was my first foray into anything creative, which is what I then went on to pursue, by going to film school and acting and doing all these things. So it just shows the importance of that at that point of my life. So I just sorry to waffle on, but I just wanted to
it's
lovely
story. Yeah, if you don't have pictures, I can make them with the AI for you. No problem.
Yeah, there you go. I'll send pictures of me at 6 years old or whatever.
Yeah, I'll work those up here. No
actually, I probably wouldn't do that to you, Rabbi.
Was that?
Actually,
I'll send pictures of me at 6 years old, but I said no. Actually, I probably
no. Don't do that. That's probably that will certainly get us flagged. Anyway.
Actually,
I hear.
But yeah, I must be older than all of you because my first memory of Star Trek is before all of yours, which is like in the 70s when it was repeated on a loop out of order on the BBC.
Yeah.
Right. So I just grew up with it always being there. Right. And then I remember I bought the when they brought out Miri and the other one, Plato's Stepchildren. I remember that coming out. And then I remember I bought they bought a copy of The Cage, and it was partly in black and white, partly in color.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember that.
That was like 82, 83.
Yes, I bought that too.
With Leonard Nimoy introduction.
VHS, glorious VHS.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, I mean, so by the time Next Gen came around, I was like very aware of Star Trek. By the time Star Trek Motion Picture came out, I was like, no, obviously I'm going to go see it. Right. And but yeah, by the Next Gen, I used to go to I had a local deli which had a video store, and I would rent the Next Gen episodes from them when they came out on rental. Right. Also, guys, Star Trek innovated the direct to the home media market essentially. It's with those releases in England of like the episodic. They were the first ones to do it, and then everybody copied them because boy was that a market. And VHS, then in DVD.
Every format so far, Rabbi. Literally, it's the CED, if anybody remembers those. Star Trek was the only TV series ever released. They put out 12 episodes, 2 per disc. I had 6, so 3 discs. Nice. Put out on VHS and beta multiple times. Put out very early in 1990, 2 episodes each on DVD, then the original series. The first remastered series to come out on Blu-ray in 2009. There are now rumors of a 4K release. I don't know how true they are, but that would be awesome. Yes, it's Star Trek and home video. You can tell where home video is by where Star Trek is.
Although I tell you, the best in terms of HD Star Trek is fan upgrades. Right, I got a 1080 Deep Space Nine I like, you know, it's the only one I watch because it's you watch the regular one on Netflix. It's like it's unwatchable. But like, I just don't understand why Netflix doesn't use this or doesn't do the same thing themselves. I mean, like it's like it's beyond me. I got a Battlestar Galactica on 4K. It is gorgeous. Oh my god! I mean, the new series. I'm watching, doing a rewatch of it right now. But yeah, no, it's absolutely gorgeous. But like,
that's the benefit of physical media, Rabbi. That's the benefit of physical media, Rabbi.
Yeah, exactly. But also it's why I take a shit on physical media nowadays, right? Because I bought it on VHS, I bought it on Blu-ray, I bought it on DVD. Fuck you!
Rabbi. No, Star Trek is like the only series I have no problem. I've somebody add up the money as to how many. Okay, so there was the CDs plus renting on beta.
Yes.
Buying the entire series on VHS, some of them twice because I actually wore them out. Buying the whole series again as double discs on the DVD, buying it again on Blu-ray, and this is like the only instance ever where I would be willing to spend $400 to $500 to get that series on 4K. No, give me Star Trek. I want Star Trek Hologram. I don't care however many times they release it. I will buy it.
When the explosion was happening, the explosion was happening, Chris, all of that Star Trek in the 1990s, the BBC, they did hang on to it for a little while. I mean, Keith will remember they had the Next Gen on BBC One. It took them 3 years to show it. They had it for a little while and they lost it to Sky. And so it was a case of people like me, kids like me, and I was about 15, you either got Sky, persuaded your parents to get Sky, or you bought the VHS tapes. And we couldn't have a Sky dish on our home anyway because of where it is. It's a strange place. You couldn't have a Sky dish. So I had to get the tapes anyway. So for me, the entirety of the 1990s, I'm not joking, was me putting aside whether I was a student, an apprentice, and then into my first working environments, putting aside enough money that with the vague hope of keeping up with the various different ranges as the Star Trek universe expanded. So I collected them all, and then they re-released the original series. So I bought those again as well. They were remastered, Gary, with more episodes on. So in the end, I ended up with walls just of Star Trek VHS tapes, and that is. It's not how I would define my 90s as such. I had other shit going on as well. But Star Trek was a huge part of it, and these characters in particular.
Well, Dan, I was the same. Oh, sorry, Gary. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Dan, I was the same way. My 90s, even though we had Star Trek readily available, people would look at my wall of Star Trek, which unfortunately I don't have anymore. But my VHS wall of not taped Star Trek, actual official releases, I had all 79 of the original series, one episode per tape. Some of them were duplicates because I wore them out. They were the original, really cool cases. Then the later blue ones, it ended up being a mix of them. Every episode of The Next Generation, some of them twice because the original tape died or whatever. So I had the original series. I had all 178 episodes of The Next Generation. That was literally the 90s. The first episode came out in 91. The last one came out in 99. So it was the entire decade. And the first two seasons of Deep Space Nine, then that's sort of where it ended. And I switched over to DVD. But no, I was the same way, Dan. It was throughout the whole, and I would put money aside. I can remember exactly where I bought both of them. There was an old Canadian retailer, which has been out of business for 20 years now, called Music World. It was in the mall downtown. And each episode, they would retail for $12.99, which after tax was exactly $15. So $15 per tape, 1990s money. Somebody who was a teenager, the cost is it was $500 per season. It was insane.
It was relentless.
But it's they knew me as the Star Trek guy. I 20 years later, I ended up actually working with the guy that managed that. To that day, he still called me decades later the Star Trek guy. That I was known as the guy that would come in and buy the Star Trek things as they came in. It was very sad.
On that note, by the way, I've just put, I don't know whether this is cheeky or not, but I've put in the chat a playlist that I've done on Home Media Minefield of the Star Trek Blu-ray releases.
Oh, I'll totally listen to that.
So if anybody's interested.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know whether links actually work or not. Yeah,
well, no, they don't. It's customary to do that at the end of the show, and I can put stuff like that in the video description as well. So yeah, just let me know ahead of time. We'll include.
What I was going to say before, Dan, is that I can. You probably won't admit to this. I can imagine like a 15-year-old Dan Hadley climbing up to the roof of your neighbor's house and putting a patch cable on their Sky satellite to try to pirate the cable over to just show over to your house.
They couldn't get it either. Nobody across this sort of particular row of houses because it was set back from the road. It's ever so strange to imagine. But can you imagine that satellite dishes were turning up? So where I grew up was in between two sort of council house estates. There was a stretch of houses dividing two large estates. They could all get Sky. So all of these dishes and BSB Squarials Rabbi, they were all turning up. And there was me, who was the geekiest kid in my town. And I couldn't see any of this stuff. Whereas I knew that other students, other kids that I knew were mainlining not just new Star Trek, but old classic British sci-fis, vintage TV of all sorts.
A lot of satellite, right? Yeah, Doctor Who. We're not allowed to mention
Brom's King of the Geeks.
Yeah, no. Okay, but what makes bad though, right? On the Blu-ray release of Next Gen, on the DVDs you had the trailers of the coming next week. Star Trek.
I loved all that.
Yeah,
I love those. The 30-second trailer. They're not on the Blu-rays. I'm like so mad.
Oh, what? Wait, no. For the Next Generation, you mean?
Yeah.
No, they are. They're on the Blu-rays. There's an option. Maybe it's different in region 2, but no, I have the original 2009. And I watch before I watch an episode. There's an option to watch it with the original trailer. So both with the original series and DS9.
I thought they weren't gone because I love those trailers.
Oh, no, the DVDs didn't have them, but the Blu-ray sets have them, and there's an option for each episode.
Next time, cheesy voiceovers and fast cuts and things like that. What was coming next? What you're going to have to put another 300 quid aside to get hold of, but all in pursuit of 60 years of Star Trek. We've got some great comments in the live chat, so people have rolled in, they've rolled up, and they've joined in with what we've had to say about all of this stuff. Davey96 is watching on YouTube there and says, basically, the original series and TNG I really liked, but bad quality for viewing put me off the other ones. He'd rather watch the Orville over Star Trek nowadays. But when he talks about bad quality for viewing, I mean, picture quality did vary on some of these things, I suppose, because some people were watching them on satellite, some of them were watching on cable, other people were buying the videotapes, but people were just getting it however they could. A bit like that guy from Home Alone, Daniel Stern. He's getting it however he can too, as we've heard break tonight in the news cycle. Yeah, but this is it. You had to sort of put up with, in pursuit of your love, your affection for this brand. You knew it was out there. You had to get it however you could, and now everything is so slick, David, with all these streaming platforms and Fire Sticks and all that kind of thing. You know, you're never more than a button or two away, really, from your heart's desire that evening, whatever you want to watch. But back then, you used to have to place orders and keep a track of the release calendars and things like that. Mm-hmm. You had to be pretty determined, I think, to track some of this stuff down. Funky has also joined us and says, if you look at the cage now, basically, the aliens are trying to make Pike an OnlyFans creator. There you go. That's a way.
I just got a mental image. Thank you for that.
I didn't quite see it from that point originally, but I can see.
Yeah, hey Keith, if you wanted to do another Star Trek play, just do that.
Yeah. Funky is also a child of the 80s, one of the generation that was confused that my favourite police officer was now the captain of a starship. So what's that in reference?
Captain Kirk never rolled over the hood of a car, though.
No.
That was running around the time the Star Trek movies were really taking off.
Yeah.
Wasn't it, from what I remember?
Yeah.
He never ripped his TJ Hooker shirt, though. because he was probably wearing a girdle in
Thermal vest or
TJ
something.
Hooker. Yeah,
by that point, you could be right. You could be right. Today, what have we got? It was a time people had hope for a better future, says Lucy Meow. Do you think that people saw that in Star Trek, the aspirational side, David? Is that part of the appeal?
Oh, totally. It's like I said earlier. We were looking at how we could explore and sort of expand our lives and looking for better things. And Gene Roddenberry always used to say, that his vision of the future was a positive one. Terry Nation used to say that his vision of the future was a bleak one and oppressive, probably because he found that easier to write. But it is very, very, this is about the future. We've conquered most diseases. We've conquered wars. We've conquered oppression. This is our positive view of the future. Don't worry, it's not as bad as you might think. I think that's a lovely premise for a show. I really do.
It could be healthy if you sort of watch both versions, not in equal portions, not be that anal about it, but I suppose to receive both modes of storytelling is probably a nice happy medium for people. I mean, Lucy's got quite intellectual in the live chat here. Thank you, Lucy. Today's people fear future. She suggests, Gary, but therefore there is no good and hopeful sci-fi anymore. There could be some truth in that.
Well, no, I think that's very insightful from Lucy, because I mean, you're looking now, and I was commenting to, I can't remember who I was commenting to in the last couple of weeks, that that most of which is why I don't watch a lot of, the current sci-fi, no matter how hot or trendy it is, like on streaming, because it's also dystopian, and it's also, you don't go away from it feeling joy about anything. You want to go like find a high building or something, and it doesn't matter how well produced or glossy or whatever it is on these, it's still like dour and depressing. And I'll watch an original series because it was honest and it was earnest, but it wasn't cheesy, and it wasn't dumbing down the concepts for a mass audience. It was there, like, how many episodes ended with Kirk, with McCoy and Spock around the captain's chair, and they would have their kind of closing dialogue. And it didn't have to. Okay, the one great thing about the original series is that there were no sledgehammers, unlike the messaging of today. Like, for example, in the Let That Be Your Last Battlefield with the black, white, white, black side.
Yeah.
The last line was Uhura saying, do you think, hate's all they ever had? And Kirk just says, no, but it's all they have left. And that's all you needed. And it was a great line. Or one of the not so great episodes, the hippie one, The Way to Eden, the last line is they're talking philosophy at the end, Spock and Kirk's last line is just say, "We reach, Mr. Spock, we reach." And it's simple and profound, and it's great.
Yes, and I would
right back then, which made a difference.
It's simple language anybody can relate to, and that children can hear as well, rather than bombarding them with bleakness or obliqueness, I suppose, and with quotes from various classics. It's something that everybody can everybody can look at and can read. Vanessa's joined us here in the live chat. Thank you, Vanessa, and Happy New Year to you. She says, I went to one of the original Star Trek conventions in New York. It was so much fun. Who's a convention going? Have you ever been to a Star Trek convention, Chris?
Not so much. I've been to.
Me neither.
Well, I think you and I both have the same issue where you're in the UK and I'm in Canada. I've been to Fan Expo in Toronto, which has had Star Trek related things. But most of the big conventions have always been in the US, and it had always been my intent to. It's on my bucket list. Well, maybe not current Star Trek, but it's still on my bucket list. I would like to go to one of these conventions because I used to get bootleg videos, like, they used to have fan sales. People would record them with their video camera, and I think I probably still have some of them in the basement, but I'd have videotapes of like panels at the conventions. And I'd always wanted to go. I have been to a convention for that British show we don't mention by name on this, and had a opportunity to meet my favorite actor. The new version of show we shall not mention. But yeah, I have never been to an actual Star Trek convention, which sucks. And I'm saying this as somebody who's been like a Star Trek fan for, well, literally my entire life, rapidly approaching the half century mark. So I before I kick off this mortal coil, I would like to go see one, but I would not want to see a current convention if it's like that premiere thing that happened this week. Good God, that's my.
We should all meet at one. All of us.
That would be so much fun.
We should find a convention that's in reasonable travel distance, because obviously we're all kind of spaced
I'll fly over there, Keith.
But yeah,
beam in.
We should go to. I've been to a few. I went to a few in the 90s when Star Trek was kind of at its peak, really. Yeah. I think one I went to, Walter Koenig was one of the guest speakers. And I've even been to some in more recent years where they've had people from Enterprise, which is a big, for me, I'm a big defender of Enterprise. I know some Star Trek people don't like it.
Oh, I love Enterprise.
I will join you, Keith. You have my respect, dude. Season 3 and especially season 4 are masterpieces.
Yeah, they're some of my favorite Trek ever, actually.
It's just got one bad episode. It happens to be the last one. Right,
that doesn't exist, Rabbi. That episode
that doesn't exist. Finale is the
that's a holodeck.
I would love to do a revival.
As I understand it,
episode of Next Gen.
As I understand it,
I'd love them to do a revival show of Enterprise set during the Romulan War when they come out retired.
Well, you can find that in the. I know it. People say, "Well, it's not canon," but they did a series of books, all by the same author, Christopher Bennett, who it was like a series of like 7 books chronicling the post-series Enterprise with the Romulan War.
I really want to see the secondary hull put on. I was really bummed we never got to see
all those little geeky moments that we didn't get, or we didn't quite get them in the way that we wanted to. I mean, just to go back to the conventions that Vanessa was talking about, and your idea, Keith, I think that's a brilliant idea. I'd love to do that. But I do wonder, because there had been, I think we talked about letter writing campaigns giving birth to the kind of the pressure groups and the hashtag campaigns that we've got now. In some respects, there had been, in many ways, Star Trek kind of invented the idea of a proper sci-fi convention. I think there'd been get-togethers that had revolved around the science fiction writing community, but I think there'd been a lot more bookish and smaller, and kind of like not just reading groups or book groups, but writing groups as well that would, I suppose, be retreats where people would write their own science fiction stories, very different from just getting together with a bunch of people of a similar interest and geeking out for a day, a weekend, a week. So Star Trek could be responsible for all of this shit.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to a guest that I've had on my podcast some years back, who I've kept in touch with, a guy called Vic Mugnana. And
let's get him on.
Produced a series called Star Trek Continues. And let me tell you, anyone, I defy anyone that is a fan of the original series not to watch this and consider it canon. Because
100%.
It is one, I mean, the production values are incredible.
Yes.
The performance
is canon.
good. The stories are great. And in my opinion, because it actually dovetails nicely into the motion picture as well. In my opinion, it is season 5 of
I would also offer that Star Trek probably created the notion of the fan film as well. Certainly one that was based
was
on
one of the greatest crimes in fandom ever, that the Star Trek killed their fan films. Their fan films were breathtaking.
They introduced a lot of limits to them. I mean, obviously, as Warp Drive continues, we will touch on the unofficial stuff too. That's all stuff we will get round to.
I do want to take a second. I have to piggyback on what Keith said. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I adore Star Trek Continues to death. I consider it canon. I actually, Keith, made they on the website for Star Trek Continues, they have like downloadable art. Yep. And like logos and stuff. And I actually made, because they don't have any official merchandising, obviously, for it, I actually used some of their downloadable art to create my own Star Trek Continues shirt, which I'll wear on one of these shows. And at one of the WonderCons, which happens in March in Anaheim near me, I knew that Vic was going to be at it. And so I got in line. And when I got to him, you know, I had it like hidden underneath like a shirt like I'm wearing now. And so I got up to him, and when he saw that shirt, he freaked out. He's like, oh my God. He got up and, you know, wanted to do like some selfies, you know, with me and him wearing the Star Trek Continues shirt. And it was great. It was a great memory. He's like a great guy. And I'm going to go and find that podcast, because he is, and on my bucket list is, you know, they filmed that down in Georgia, and they still have all the standing sets for that, which a couple, three times a year, they have like weekends where you can buy and you can go and you can walk through. It's like walking through the actual original Enterprise.
That's where we should be.
That's on my bucket list. That's on my bucket list, to go down to Georgia during one of these fan weekends and just walk through the original Enterprise.
Yeah, that's where we should meet. We should go there, because I've said to Vic a few times that I've been I plan to get out there someday, and
well, get Vic on, get Vic here on Warp Drive, and we'll try and sort something. We'll see if we can sort something out. We're all big fans of
There's another tour, I think, in upstate New York, for a set of the Enterprise.
Yeah, they used to film another fan show on there.
Yeah,
Deep Space Nine was dark. There's Farsight. Not everybody's cup of tea, it has to be said, but Star Trek did kind of evolve with shows like Deep Space Nine, and I think Enterprise was quite dark in places too. So the tone did alter, and yet it kept that house style that a lot of people loved. I mean, I was a big fan of Ben Sisko. Is my favorite captain out of all of them, even to this day. Eastlyn Burkholder says original Star Trek had dilemma. The crew met problems and did something. Original Star Trek crews faced no real book situations and had to find a solution and write a report about it. So people look into the minutiae of this show as if it's the real world, don't they? And it's because it's so convincing. I think it's because I don't think it's unlimited, but I think they give the impression that it's unlimited because of the attention to detail and the genuine kind of psychology behind the people that it's meant to be offering us as our own descendants. And I think, because obviously none of us, I wouldn't imagine, is ever going to live to see the 23rd, 24th century in our wildest dreams. You think, well, I wonder if my great-great-great-great-grandchildren could be like this or could go to those places. That's what's stuck in my head, particularly when I was a teenager, somebody in my early 20s, and when I had my first child, when I became a father. So all of that stuff has hit me in waves as well. So it's profound in that respect, but only gently. It's not something that's I've ever found harsh or a burden. I found it inspiring.
Well, Dan, I think when you're talking about sort of dark Star Trek, and I think one of the many reasons why DS9 is the strongest version of Star Trek we've ever had, is it's the series that's the most grounded in reality, where your utopia doesn't actually exist. It's a facade. And they did this brilliantly with the introduction of Section 31, not the complete joke that it's become in the past decade, but the original DS9 Section 31, where there's the idea, by that point, I think it was 97. By that point, we've had decades of this utopian environment. And then we see, well, actually, no, it's never been as great as you think it is. Well, there's this facade of a paradise. There's actually a nefarious organization going back to the beginning of the Federation that has been working behind the scenes to basically keep it like this. And I think DS9, I think brilliantly, I think one of the most brilliant episodes or incidents in the history of Star Trek. is how Cisco and Garrick trick the Romulans into joining the Dominion War. And I think that was done brilliantly. And I think DS9 it's still, or there's also the 2-part episode on Earth where, Earth by this point is a paradise, but it really isn't. And then what happens when paradise is lost? When the Dominion comes in, and then basically it essentially martial order is declared.
That's where O'Brien shows up as a changeling, right?
Yeah. It's that's why I think more so than any other Star Trek series, that's why DS9 works, because it has that Star Trek aesthetic. It has the positivity, but it also underlying everything. I think really from the beginning of the series and how Cisco was not a perfect character, in contrast to Picard and Kirk, the way they had been portrayed, especially in the beginning. It's like, yes, the future looks positive, but there are issues. And I think Enterprise did this again with season 3, where it's like it was their response to that event that I don't think we can still see on YouTube that happened in 2001. But it was the Star Trek version of this. So Star Trek is at its best when it's asking real questions. And you've had two extremes where you've had the original and the Next Generation, where it is this, at least as far as Earth is concerned, it is this utopian reality. Now, just because the current year sucks, they turned it into a complete dystopia. I'm referencing Picard, which I think is also a mistake, because no, the future is not. The future is going to be a mix of good and bad. Nothing is 100% good and nothing is 100% bad. You're always going to meet somewhere in the middle. And Star Trek in the middle of the franchise, which I think maybe consider DS9, the middle series, is the one that got it right with Enterprise, where the first TNG and TOS were too optimistic, but it gave us hope. And where Star Trek right now is just, dear God, the less said about it right now, the better. This is a happy stream. But yeah,
Well, I was gonna mention it, obviously, because that evolution did happen very, very gradually and very sensibly in the 1990s. Star Trek was away from television for quite a long time, 10, 12 years, during which we did get a few films. We'll talk about those probably another time. So it didn't completely disappear, but it disappeared from television, which is where people still think of Star Trek as a TV show. When it did reappear, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. I know there are people out there who do follow it, who do claim to like it and appreciate it, and get very, very defensive about anything that sort of falls into the bracket of new Trek, that set of live action shows in particular. But we've all found it, without wishing to dwell on this, we've all found this a bit of a trial, to put it mildly, a very up and down experience.
We found it shit. We found it unbearable shit.
Well, there's
my God.
You said
it's a mixed bag. No, it's not. It's virtually all shit, apart from the first season of what's it called again?
We're in a place at the moment. We're in a place at the moment where it's quite difficult to speculate about what's coming in the future because of studios and things all changing hands, Rabbi. I lose track of who owns what all the time now, and Star Trek is obviously really caught up in that, and deals are coming to an end, and although series are beginning, they're also ending as well. So you could say in one way it's a sort of advantageous position to be in, because we're about to be at a place where we can take stock. But I never really give most of these shows a passing thought now, even though they're still being made, or they've only just recently wrapped up. The wave that started with Star Trek Discovery, the butt of so many jokes, and I've had a hard time getting through most of them. So where are we all at with it now, a few years on? Because Keith, obviously you were, like myself, you were a completist for a long, long time, weren't you? But even you, and the rabbi's quite right, you're a positive, upbeat person, just like I am, but you eventually left it behind too, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll explain why. Real quick, just before I say that, one of your listeners, viewers, put up on the screen about the Star Trek experience in Las Vegas. And I was fortunate enough to be somebody who did that. And I agree with that.
Awesome.
Completely. It was absolutely awesome, when we were in peak Trek in the 90s. Yeah. So, Yeah, that's cool. No, with regards to new Trek, okay, it's been a difficult. I've always, when you want to like something, and you try
like Chris was describing earlier on.
Yeah, you try and give it some slack because you want to like it and all of this. There's been. I really liked even the stuff that I've liked in this is hampered with what's come before, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So, I loved season 1 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I thought finally they've got this right. That's amazing. But obviously that was hampered by what had happened in seasons 1 and 2 of Discovery, which kind of soured it. And likewise, season 3 of Picard, which everybody lauds, I'm in agreement with, but unfortunately, a lot of damage had already been done in seasons 1 and 2. And these things that had been done beforehand take away from what's great about it. For example, I use Picard because that one's slightly easier to explain than the Strange New Worlds one. In Picard, by the time all this stuff in season 3 happened, we'd already had it, but done more shit in the previous season. So, we'd already had the Borg, so they'd already kind of ruined that, even though we get them back in season 3. We'd already had Q in season 2. So again, the little stinger at the end of season 3 was a bit meh because we've already had that. So, it's not been great across the board. And then the thing that really finished it for me was, I believe it was about a year ago, they had Star Trek Section 31 on stream in the movie. And I just thought that was so unbelievably bad. I always try and see the good in things, like Rabbi said, but this, I could not find anything good to say about it. And I like Michelle Yeoh, for example, as an actress, but that whole thing, everything about it, from the writing to just, it was nothing like Star Trek, and they've gone silly with the whole section.
Sometimes, Keith, I like to think that I root around in my thesaurus, in my lexicon, to use words like abysmal and think, but sometimes shit is just shit. And Section 31 was every shade of shit. But Rabbi, you've been documenting practically daily on your YouTube channel, not just Star Trek, but all of pop culture. So you've probably spoken more about all of this than maybe anybody else that I can think of.
That's a scary statistic.
But I think you've been through a form of public therapy. So at the other end of that now, and obviously at the start of the 60th anniversary year for Star Trek, where do you think covering all of this crap, where does that find you now with the franchise? Have you got it compartmentalized, or how do you look back at it?
Like for me, like Keith, I don't know the problem Keith has with Picard season 3, because I don't think season 1 or 2 are real, right? I call it Picard, right? I don't have the reference. It's the only season for me.
But they do reference it. They
do, but because they don't exist, I don't know how bad it is. Right? It's like I know none of that happened because it's not real. Right? Same thing with Discovery. Like I like the first 8 episodes of Discovery. Right? I thought what's his name? Ram Wilson, is that his name? As Mud was a good idea. But I think, Discovery, they kind of ran out of all of what's his name's ideas? The guy who got
Brian Fuller.
Brian Fuller's ideas, right? And I'm sure he had the idea for those bright Enterprise outfits, and they got replaced by the unitards they ended up wearing, right? So the first 8 episodes I thought weren't actually bad, but boy, the minute you got onto season 2, episode 1. Like, it started getting shit around the second half after they came back from Christmas, right? But soon you got season 2, episode 1, you have a guy beam on board and you think he's going to have a pointy ear, right? And he's not. He's Lieutenant Mansplainer, and he exists. to not listen to Michael Burnham and therefore be killed horribly, right? And he's like, oh God, it's so cringe, and the cringe just gets more and more, and the more they suck in like real Star Trek, like, let me go and lactate over this.
It's like Keith said,
worse and worse and worse and worse. Oh,
I just want to say hello to Maze 4, who's joined us in the live chat there for the first time on YouTube for this inaugural Warp Drive live show. Thank you for being here, everybody, and lots of other comments that we've had as well. David, I wonder, because we've spoken before about the Avatar films, how everybody goes to see these films. They always do very, very well, make a lot of the box office, and yet they leave no real cultural footprint. Nobody can ever tell you anybody who's seen any of those movies, they can never tell you what they're actually about. You think, well, so have they made any impact whatsoever? They just sort of roll off the eyes. You think so? In that case, they've brought nothing positive, but they've brought nothing negative either. It's all very, very bland. And I feel that even though we've suffered New Trek blow by blow, I do think that the broader public, certainly in Britain, which I want to ask you about this, I don't think that people in Britain are really aware that any of these Star Trek shows since 2017 have actually been on. They've been so difficult to find, they've never been publicized, and nobody ever talks about them in the same way that nobody ever talks about the Avatar films. What do you think the profile is of Star Trek in the UK right now, David?
Oh, that's a very good question. A very, very good question. From talking to my friends who are not Trekkies, or are mild Trekkies, I would say, I don't think they believe that much Star Trek has been out since the last Bad Robot film. They were aware of Picard seasons 1, 2, and 3. However, a lot of them have given it sort of like, well, what's happened to Star Trek? Where's it gone? Are they doing a fourth movie? Are they doing another movie? Are we going to get it's Chris Pine, isn't it? Chris Pine back in the role as Kirk again, because I quite like those films. Not the one with Benedict cum in your pants, but the other two were all right. So is it coming back? And I'm going, well, aren't you aware of Discovery? Aren't you? Well, what was that? Strange New Things? What was that? I'm aware of Picard's, because they did something with Patrick Stewart, because they got all the old crew of the Enterprise back again, didn't they? Yeah. Didn't watch it, though. I said, well, just skip the first 2 seasons and watch the final one, if you like TNG.
That's the thing. If these ideas register with people, David, they think, "Oh, I might watch that," and then they quickly realise that they can't find it anywhere, and I think they just go and do something else.
Yeah, they do, and it comes back to the fact that a lot of people still think that Star Trek is Bill Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and DeForest Kelley, or Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Frakes, and Brent Spiner. That's the sort of, the robot guy, the guy with the pointy ears, the country doctor who says, "God damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a XYZ." That's a view of Star Trek, the Enterprise. Spock dying, and then being reborn. The whales. And them being in, San Francisco in the mid 1980s. That's what they think Star Trek is.
Mm-hmm. I think on that note as well, I think one of the problems that we have now as well is that they recast everybody too quickly these days. Like when you think about it, the original crew, they played those roles for 30 years before there was a reboot. Yeah, whereas now, we had the reboot in 2009, and then within a decade, we had those characters reimagined again. In the Star Trek shows, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it kind of just dilutes it all a bit, I think, and you don't get the same connection. But maybe that's just the way I see it. But
it doesn't feel like something that's been done creatively and sort of for the ages. Okay, this will regenerate interest in this. It's okay. Here's some more. I don't like using the word slop because I don't think Strange New Worlds is slop, but I think it. I think the rest of it giving. I think that it gives off that. I think it gives off that aroma because of everything that the culture is doing. I think it's part of a very underwhelming canvas, I suppose, a cultural canvas, Chris. That and it's kind of that's dragging the stuff that is good gets sort of dragged down by this need to be self-reverential, to be deconstructive in some way, and it just doesn't fit with. You can do that with some things, with some shows, with anthology shows, but it just doesn't fit with Star Trek. It takes away more than it gives it, I think.
Well, yeah, you'll always have the occasional diamond in the pile of shit. But in terms of where Star Trek is right now, Canada has, and yes, you can blame Canada for everything, including this. Canada has a fun, interesting relationship with Star Trek where, it's the same thing as in the UK. Nobody even knows this thing is still on. But aside from Picard, yes, you can blame Canada for all of modern Star Trek because it is all shot at Pinewood Studios in my own personal hellscape known as Toronto, Ontario, which thank God I now live a few hours away from. But yes, it's got Canada identity and identity politics and crap all over it. I would say I have a love-hate relationship with modern Trek, but I would say it was more hate. But it does have nuggets, like because we do need to mention it. Picard season 3, I consider that the Next Generation. Season 8, even 3 years later, I think it holds up. Strange New Worlds is an odd one, which I've covered many times, but I kind of divide it. I would say it's 30% really, really good, 30% oh dear God, and 40%, Jesus Christ, what in the name of holy hell is this? I thought Discovery was bad. Then you have Discovery, which honestly, I used to review them. I checked out after the first episode of season 3. I decided this is not worth it. I'm out. So I checked out. I haven't watched it. I suffered through the next 2 episodes, or 2 or 3, whenever the non-binary character came in, like I shut it off. I'm like, I'm done. I haven't gone back to it since. Section 31. Oh, that was a fun stream a year ago. Good Lord. And then Starfleet Academy, which if you want to know my thoughts, tune into my YouTube channel next week and you'll learn what I have to say about this. I am not with Star Trek. I am not where I am with that British show that we do not mention by name on this. And if you do mention, I will personally yell at some name, swear word. We do not mention the name of that show. But I'm not with Star Trek where I am with Nameless Show, where I want to see the whole thing just thrown into a garbage can, set on fire, pissed on, and then thrown off a mountain. I'm not like that with Star Trek. Star Trek, unlike that other thing, does have its positive points. And the fandom, unlike that other thing where the fandom is the most toxic thing ever released on humanity, Star Trek fandom to this day is not like that. It has its bad elements, and there is, yes, a really annoying YouTube contingent. But for the most part, Star Trek fandom, at least when it comes to classic Trek, is kind of the way it always was, just like regular people. I think Star Trek fandom also generally skews a little bit older. So I think Star Trek fandom will forgive a lot. And I've said because it hasn't been completely terrible, because we have had some, nice nuggets in the pile of shit. Star Trek can it's like, it's been 3 years since we've had amazing Star Trek. But Strange New Worlds, when it gets it right, it really gets it right. The problem is they've gotten it wrong more so than they've gotten it right, they're saying. that the comedy episodes are going to be reduced in the next season and a half. So we'll have to see where that goes.
Right? Yeah, okay. Here's the problem with it in season 2 and 3 of Strange New Worlds. It's the chicks, right? You had the balance just right. A little bit chick heavy in season 1 when you had the chief engineer who was awesome, right? Bringing in Carol Kane to replace her totally unbalances the sexual balance.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
And so now it's like from season 2 onwards, you had who was it? Number 1, whatever her name is, the lieutenant lesbian, whatever. The lieutenant lesbian Latino, right? Latinx.
Lesbian. Keith laughing.
Right. Because you know what I'm talking about.
That's a rather progressive name.
It was Christina Chong, who always gets on my bloody nose. Right?
She's not. She's very unpleasant.
In 10 forward with like all these. I don't want to see the horror. I don't want to see a bunch of chicks laughing together in a bar when I turn on fucking Star Trek. Right? Leave me alone. This chick Trek. Right? That is the problem with it. Now, season 3 weirdly wasn't woke, but it wasn't good either. Right, they took the woke out of it, but it still wasn't very good. So it
had the worst episodes and some of the best episodes. It's. I think Strange New World season 3 might be the most unbalanced season of television I've ever seen, because you'll have like some amazing episodes, followed by possibly some of the worst Star Trek I have ever seen. Usually, any episode focusing on Spock. Dear God.
Oh, what they do to him. Yeah, Spock is not autistic. For goodness sake, Spock is cool.
May I ask a question to all of the panel members, please? Because my mum has watched all modern Star Trek, so I don't have to. But she did tip. I thought you might like that. She did tip me for Strange New Worlds. Now, I'm quite open to watching Strange New Worlds. So this is where I differ from a lot of people on the panel because I've not seen it. So, what would you recommend to expand my Star Trek knowledge and experience? Would you recommend me watching it?
Yeah,
I would recommend watching it a certain way.
Okay.
I think Strange New Worlds, somebody who's not as lazy as me, give David a list of the non-terrible episodes. I think if you watch maybe a little less than half of the series and just ignore the terrible episodes, if you just watch the good episodes, you're going to see it's a decent show. Another experiment would be just to watch the terrible episodes.
I'd make it. I'd make it easier than that and just say, just watch season 1. Season 1.
Okay.
Season 1 is very strong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although it's more heartbreaking because
just watch season 1, David.
You love the aesthetic.
Okay.
Right? They nail it. Oh, it's beautiful. It just looks beautiful. But it's more heartbreaking that they completely fuck it up from season.
Well, actually, I would say the season finale of season 2.
In the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've just felt, I think it's partly realizing we've got the 60th anniversary year, and partly just feeling that I'm in the right frame of mind for Star Trek to reconnect with it. So I've started rewatching Star Trek. I've gone back into the franchise properly at several points. So I'm watching season 3 of Star Trek: The Next Generation in tandem with my rewatch of season 1 of Strange New Worlds. I'm 3 episodes in, and I'm loving it. I watched. Right. I remember enjoying some of season 2, and I didn't watch season 3 at all. Of course, there's more coming. We'll talk about that in a little while. But I would recommend you watch this, David. I think there's more to enjoy than not. Yeah. I think it's got a spirit. I think it's not a complete waste of your time like so much else.
I also think, to put it into perspective, because I've really thought a lot about this, is all Star Trek, all of the different shows, there's always been bad episodes, right from the original series, Next Gen. But the difference was you used to get 26 episodes per season, right? The problem we've got now is we only get 10 episodes or whatever it is a season, maybe 12, I can't remember, but we get very few episodes compared to what it used to be. And the trouble is the ratio especially
Correct.
in seasons 2 and 3 of bad episodes has been
It's very bad.
more than the good, unfortunately. And
well, I mean, there is so much good in it in that first season. It's like the Doctor is fantastic. Dr. Mabenga, loved him.
Yes.
It was good. And then they turned around and told him it's like a dark action hero in season 2. I love Nurse Chapel in the first season. Again, the chief engineer, and it had that vibe. It had that like, what if they made original series Star Trek today with today's technology? And you saw it, and it looked beautiful, right? It really nailed it in every way. And also, it was episodic Star Trek. Now, in season 2, they tried to emulate cinematic Star Trek, and again, that's another reason why it fell apart. Uhura's in it is great. I even like the person they brought in as Scotty. That's actually been a plus.
Although it annoys me, he is way too young. Scotty is supposed to be 11 years older than Kirk. They brought this guy in it's so young, and even though he's a real Scot and all of this sort of thing, I have a really hard time buying him as Scotty. He's just too young.
And I got to say, like Dan, I've been rewatching season 1 this week of Strange New Worlds, and I cannot say enough about how perfect the casting of Anson Mount is as Pike. I think that was an inspired choice. I think that he is just, even in that one season, I'm not counting the Discovery stuff, even in that one season, I think established himself as one of the all-time great captains. I love the way he plays the captain. I love his dynamic with all the other characters.
Gary,
and
when we first see him, he's got a full beard. And he's riding horseback. It's classically heroic.
I just got to say, the one thing that I'm sad about, even with all the ups and downs of the series, is that we're only going to get kind of like a truncated number of episodes with him as captain, because I think that he could have gone years and years doing this character. It would have been great.
Yeah, I think for the season 5, they're going to get Star Trek Year 1, aren't they?
Well, apparently the six episode season 5, apparently, from what I understand, is being designed to lead into the original series.
This is the problem with prequels. They really need to move Star Trek forward.
It has got a
exactly.
problem.
One thing I've been waiting a while to say is to go with what Keith just said. One of the things I think has been the problem with the franchise as a whole is that since 2002, when Nemesis came out, they have been inexplicably unwilling to give us like a Star Trek show set after Nemesis.
Yep.
The movies went retro with the Kelvin stuff back at the beginning of the original Enterprise crew in the movies. We had Discovery, which, while it's in an alternate universe, is also kind of a prequel because it takes place before the original series, except for Picard, which with its kind of checkered history, they have been unwilling to like push the franchise as a whole forward time-wise. I'm not counting Discovery going 1 billion years into the future. That doesn't even count. But I mean, setting something 20, 25, 50 years after Nemesis, where it's kind of that same overall timeline. They don't seem to be willing to do that. They've stopped there, and everything is a prequel now.
They tried to do that with Picard season 3. Terry Metalis was going into Star Trek Legacy, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We all hope that Legacy happens. Yeah.
It's lost its anchoring. So we're all. I think. You know what? I think. Yeah, we can't forgive so many sins committed against one franchise. That's too much. But I get the impression we're not in as dark a place as we once were. With things coming to a close over the next year or two, with various deals, the studios change hands, Chris, maybe in time things will change and new creatives will emerge. That's what we've got to hope.
I will respectfully disagree with my friend Dan because I'm grumpy me.
It is allowed. It is allowed.
Yes. So once again, Sundance, in case you're watching, please, for the love of God, please, you have like 4 days left to cancel this and just make it go away. For the love of God,
Too late.
No. It's not too late, Gary. It does not go live until Thursday. We have until Thursday to cancel this. So Dan, I will say,
he's hovering on the
could
button.
be
Look,
nice, but this thing, based on what I've seen, this is the worst shit I've ever seen. Like, dear God, and I've been watching the reviews and of people that have seen it, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't going to make videos this year. I was going to take a break until that abomination from the UK comes back. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this year after spending 8 weeks in hell last year. And I'm like, it's going to be a happy year. I'm just going to do my stream with Dan and my friends on Saturdays. We're going to talk about things that we love. No, I'm back. Jesus Christ.
You know what, Chris? Dan knows this because I told him. Chris, had your address over the holidays, I so wanted to, when I first saw that 90210 poster for Starfleet Academy, my first reaction is, I want to get a copy of that, frame that, and send it to Chris for Christmas.
Okay, that would involve me probably still being in jail because there would have been a fiery sacrifice in my front yard during which the police would have called in, and they would have asked, "Why is this angry person yelling at a flaming poster?" But thank you for the call. I like it when people keep me in their thoughts. So thank you. It's the thought that counts. So thank you for
you're welcome.
For keeping me in your mind.
So we're not quite there yet, of course. Apparently there are reviews out there circulating from people who've had review copies of the first couple of episodes of Starfleet Academy. We've got a few days until any of us can see it legitimately. Who knows where we'll be this time next week. We're going to take a break now just for a moment to recharge our batteries and to refocus, to reconstitute ourselves. So hold that thought. We've got a minute or so with some friendly faces and some happier times, and then we're going to get stuck in again.
Meteorite storm. Scotty, beam us up. Scotty! Don't worry, Captain. It's only a shower. I don't need a brolly, you wally. Beam us up. Captain, I haven't got the power. Try, man, try. Power! More power! The man's power, man. Uh-oh. Start again.
Well, he certainly hasn't got the power. Good afternoon. But you could have national power and power gen. To register for a prospectus in the generating company's share offers, call 0272 272 272.
I remember that.
Is that canon? Is that ad canon?
It is now. Well, it's more canon than Star Trek Discovery, Rabbi. I think that's the.
I think it's bad.
Well, that's not canon, dude. That's the second time Captain Kirk switched bodies with the lady, so he must be very happy.
I actually think that the ad with him playing video games with the Gorn is canon.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I'm just upset he didn't say Heidi hi.
We've got people in the live chat joining in, chipping in, and complaining mostly about various things. I have a positive comment about Academy, says Funky, who hasn't seen it. At least the actors look better on the show than that red carpet event that happened recently. I've not seen that. I don't know what that's in reference to. Kurtzman has to go, says Maze 4. Well, apparently he is. Apparently he wants to go as well. So
they've been saying that since 2017.
That. Yeah, I mean, we'll try and keep as much track of that as we can over the coming weeks, because as I understand it, it's all happening sort of right now, really, as more of those deals are happening or not happening. It's not I think he'll be happy to be away from it. To tell you the truth,
I
think it's the
heard he wants
Johnson.
to focus on his Somalian daycare businesses in Minnesota, right? I think that's what.
You could be right. You could be right. I mean, we've had
that's what he says the money is now. So I can't argue with him.
Yeah,
There've been several trailers out for Starfleet Academy already, and some of them are more painful than others, more of an affront on the eyes than others. There's an allusion to at least paying respects to the legacy in this giant wall that they've got that's seen in a couple of the trailers, which displays all these names of various Trek luminaries from the series that we loved. So there's we've got
firstly, Lieutenant
Montgomery
Nog, fuck
Scott,
you, you're Captain Nog.
Lieutenant Commander Data. We've got who else is there? So everybody
Paris,
really.
Wesley was not a Lieutenant JG. I mean, he wasn't commissioned when he went off with the Traveler.
They did well. See, they haven't actually watched any of the Star Trek episodes, which explains this. They just Google things, and sometimes Google AI gets things wrong. I feel so sorry for every character that appears. See, what they haven't shown is all their very diverse characters taking a pee on that, because they would, or well, maybe the male characters.
You could say they're trying. They're trying with this, but then you spot Admiral Tawny Newsome. Isn't that an actress who appears in Lower Decks?
Yeah,
who voices a character in Lower Decks.
That's just being cute.
It does seem sometimes to me like the people that are writing modern Star Trek just do not seem to actually like Star Trek. It kind of feels like they want to do everything kind of anti-Trek all the time.
Keith, you made a really good
anti-Western civilization. And Star Trek is very pro-Western civilization, right? And weirdly, that's what it's turned out to actually be. Like, I suspected that over 10 years ago, but it's like they hate Western civilization.
Keith made a really good point about the writing of Star Trek, in the fact that Rick Berman quite vocally said about the use of language in modern Star Trek seems to be of this latest period, rather than taking all the local the present day colloquialisms and terminologies and putting them into modern day Star Trek, when the whole point of Star Trek is that it shouldn't be dated with respect to its language and everything like that. So yeah, I would really agree with what you said, Keith, about they don't seem to be writing Star Trek as Star Trek should be written, with respect to obviously the use of modern day terms in there, which of course I'd like to think wouldn't use in the 24th, 23rd century.
David, it's not just the spoken language either. I think it's the visual language too. I mean, what Gary was saying a moment ago about this poster for Starfleet Academy. It sends the wrong signal. Yeah, it just seems like it's a poster for this or that or the other. A poster for any one of a number of things, a dozen things, anything but Star Trek. Do you know what I mean by visual language?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. What you've got here is it's a load of buddies. It's like American Pie. It could be Friends. It could be Beverly Hills 90210. It could be a group of buddies go on holiday on a camping trip.
A Star Trek themed porno.
Yeah, even if you want to go like that. But it doesn't say this is a program about training the elite of the elite to go into space to seek out new life and new civilizations and to go where no one has gone before. It doesn't it doesn't say it's about exploration in the stars. It could be, for God's sake, first dates or Love Island, in some sort of location of the world. You're absolutely right, Dan, when you say
It's
about
odd.
the visual language.
Very,
It's
very
garbage.
Very odd. Obviously, there are other posters as well, but it's quite understandable that when you put out an image like that that's so stark and so incongruent, people are going to notice. People are going to keep harping on about it, including me. And when you're following not the greatest lineage of shows over the last 9 years, was it we mentioned? Yeah, I can see why people are reacting in the way that they are, what and where all the resistance comes from. It is the 60th anniversary year of Star Trek, and as I said at the top of the show, we're promised, you'll like this, Keith, we're promised from Paramount that Star Trek boldly goes into its 60th year with fan-centric anniversary celebrations throughout 2026. So in case you've missed them, this is what they're calling a space for everybody, which they're saying they're inviting an audience to a future full of hope and exploration, and a future where we as the human race rise to the challenge to be bold. And we can expect additional news and announcements throughout the year. But for the time being, we've got this. So it started with the Star Trek float at the Rose Parade. So this was on January the 1st. Gary, I've no idea what this is. A customized float, it says, the annual New Year's Day tradition in Pasadena, California. A spectacular event, it says here, with elaborate flower-covered floats, spirited marching bands, and all that kind of thing. So a sort of carnival atmosphere.
Well, it's not really a carnival. I mean, the Tournament of Roses parade happens every January 1st in Pasadena. It's a lot of gorgeous floats about everything, not just genre-related stuff, but with bands and horseback and gorgeous floats and everything. And it's over 100 years old. I mean, they've been doing it over 100 years, and there's always some kind of relevant, Hollywood float there, and somehow. And this was the one for this year that happened a couple weeks ago. Space for everybody, which is not a Star Trek slogan.
Final line of the press release for this, Rabbi, says that Star Trek's innovative float design reflects the values of hope, exploration, unity, and inclusivity.
Express it how and to whom?
George Takei was sitting in the captain's chair, and Rebecca Romaine and one of the other Strange New Worlds people were sitting at the helm and navigator stations. But it was kind of raining that day. That was during a time where we had a lot of rain here in Southern California, so they all had to have like umbrellas.
If that doesn't float your boat, maybe this will. Go green, boldly go green. It says Star Trek has partnered with Do Something, which is a national hub for youth-centered leadership and service to campaign around environmental impact in multiple locations. So that all sounds like a load of old bollocks. It's what they call a word salad, Keith. I don't know who this is meant to appeal to at all.
No, it's kind of actually. What Gary was saying about they needed brollies, that ties into that infomercial you showed, right? Where
the advert, yeah.
So there you go. But no, I really hope this year is going to be exciting for Star Trek. I'm not in the least bit enthusiastic about Starfleet Academy at all. I did listen to the audio drama Star Trek Khan. I don't know whether any of you
haven't got around to that yet.
It was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. George Takei features in that actually. But yeah, I don't know. One of the things I think these days is a lot of the stuff the fans are doing the best work. Like there's a lot of fan stuff that's actually sometimes feels more Star Trek than some of the official stuff.
I could be about to change your mind here, Keith, with this next bit. So if that's not your thing, do something. They've announced a partnership with the Lego Group. So you've got these.
That's awesome.
The Lego Group and Star Trek have strong shared values. Why do all of the statements? Why don't they just say these bits of plastic are cool? You're going to want them. Yep. Your kids are going to want them. You can all play with them together. We've got to have all this guff about shared values of exploration, building a better tomorrow, and ideal partnerships. These are cool bits of plastic that look like Star Trek characters from the shows that we used to like. I think the Enterprise looks sensational here. And who doesn't love the classic Lego minifigure look? I think this is a step in the right direction.
Yep.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
Do you buy this? The only drawback, David, is that modern Lego kits cost about 500 quid. You could probably buy a new car for the cost of that Enterprise, but it is very striking.
Playmobil have also done the TOS Enterprise as well, which is very impressive.
A couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Nice. It's quite expensive.
I love the fact that they've got Spot the cat.
Yeah, Spot's
I love
great.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's a good thing. Comics readers, I don't know. I think we've got several comics fans on the panel this time. May be interested to learn that Star Trek has also partnered with something called Webtoon, a digital comic space, and they say there's going to be exclusive Star Trek content with Webtoon coming this year as well, which they guarantee will connect Star Trek as a brand with new audiences and tell brand new stories too, based on the themes and universal appeal of the Star Trek brand. So I suppose the proof of the pudding there is in the eating. Star Trek comics kind of limp on for the time being with IDW or ID, I think, as they're called.
They're doing good stuff at IDW.
They do. Yeah. They're doing good stuff now. I gave up years ago.
No, strong stuff.
I think it's quite interesting because looking at this, we're all Gen Xers on here, aren't we? And we've sort of
guilty as charged, mate.
We all sort of came
into Star Trek.
We all came into Star Trek when it was at the height of its popularity, when the Berman years and then whatever. And I don't know that many Gen Zs, but I don't know whether they're even into Star Trek. This is the thing. I don't know. Is there an audience for this?
If they're not into Star Trek and they're not into Webtoon comics, they're definitely not going to be into this one, the final one. Star Trek The Cruise sets sail February. So this offers fans a week filled with once-in-a-lifetime experiences, a celebration of the franchise's 60th anniversary. Joining fans on board are Star Trek actors William Shatner, Walter Koenig, and 20 more actors from across the Star Trek universe who will all commemorate the milestone alongside fans with special events and activities. And obviously there's a website to click and to book up to go to Port Canaveral, Porto Plata, San Juan, and Coco Cay, wherever they are. So it's the Royal Caribbean Adventures of the Sea. It's a fun poster. The unconventional voyage, it says, for Star Trek The Cruise.
Yeah, they've been doing these for decades, the Star Trek cruises. But to what Keith was talking about before, about all of us getting together, I actually think, Keith, what about all of us actually going on this cruise and doing live streams all week while we're on the cruise?
There you go. That sounds awesome.
So there you go. We were a little bit downbeat when we started. Now you've heard about the Lego and the Webtoons and the Carnival floats or whatever it was. Maybe it's not looking too bad. Maybe it's not looking too bad after all. It could work out okay. There is a 4th season of Strange New Worlds coming later this year. They completed work on that a long time ago. In fact, filmed season 5 as well. Yes. So all of that is coming for the people who are up to date with it. I haven't. I'm playing catch up. So I'm going to watch the first 3 seasons again before this airs, and then hopefully I'll get on board for these brand new episodes. I'm not. There's a Muppet-centric episode. This sort of stuff, I'm sure it'll be very clever.
Sorry,
it
I
may
just
make me smile. It's more novelty stuff, David, and it leaves me a little cold.
I've been sick in
sorry,
my mouth.
am I just tripping here, or do I see the Muppets doing something?
To be fair, when Angel did a puppet episode. That turned out to be one of their best episodes.
But it was Angel completely. It was Angel was borderline fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different thing. It's like they're just trying, and this is the trouble. They're just using the Buffy and Angel playbook. It's like, oh, let's do a musical episode.
Well, the Buffy musical worked. The Star Trek musical might be the worst thing I've ever seen.
The Star Trek one was I could not believe it. There was nothing clever about that at all, and they thought they were being so clever. That's what really annoyed me. I was like, do they realize how awful this is? And
no, they're really clever. That's true. They really buy into their own hype. They really think they're smart. I mean, like, was it Discovery? They had a episode title. I know the lamb cries not for the knife.
Oh yeah, one of those. Discovery had so many pretentious titles.
And, like, they just think they're so clever. They're not. Holy shit, they're not.
The knife cares not for the lamb's cry. They thought they were being like the original series, except the original series wasn't written by dumbasses.
So before that, of course, we do have this brand new show. It says here in the press release, the highly anticipated Starfleet Academy, set to launch in just a few days' time. And the blurb says the series introduces viewers to a young group of cadets who come together to pursue a common dream of hope and optimism. Under the watchful eye and demanding gaze of their instructors, they discover what it takes to become Starfleet officers. I don't know. It says it.
Dan, this picture looks like a 90s Disney cable series.
This looks like my own personal definition of hell.
And look, characters you hated in other shows are going to be present.
I don't know who this is for.
That look describes this entire show. Tig Notaro, that is the look of every real Star Trek fan right now. It's perfect.
Academy Award winner Holly Hunter is there in the lead role as the Chancellor of Starfleet Academy and Captain of the USS Athena. Keith, if they could attract an actress of the caliber of Holly Hunter, might all not be lost after all?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I guess I'm trying to sort of unpack in my mind who this is for and what they're doing. And all I can guess is they're just trying to get the new generation of fans for this show.
It's a teen show.
Because I can't, there's nothing appealing about this, even having like you said, an actor of this caliber playing a captain or a teacher or whatever she's playing in this. But I don't know. It's just, there's nothing making me excited to see this at all. I'll be honest.
I'll say Holly Hunter used to be a good actress. What I've seen of this, I think it's going to be on the same level as Michelle Yeoh, who is generally a good actor in Section 31. I think it's going to be a repeat of that.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Look, she's got some dental work she needs to pay for her grandson. Okay, it happens to everyone.
How about Paul Giamatti here? So he's playing the
It's
villain.
like what dirt they must have on him to make him do this. I don't know. He's actually playing evil white man. That's the name of the character. He's evil white man.
And they had him whistling. They had him whistling the theme tune, didn't they? In one of the trailers. And again, it's like they're trying to be clever. Oh, look, we're being meta or whatever. And it's that's just stupid. It's not clever.
Okay, is the first week a double episode?
Apparently so.
Oh, motherfucker! Really?
Haven't we suffered enough? It's barely even started. Already it's putting you off your grub, lads. Oh, it might not be awful. Robert Picardo's there. I'm not sure what he's doing with his hands here. I mean, we're post Me Too. I don't think you can do that in the workplace anymore. But there's Robert Picardo on set.
Why haven't they de-aged him? Because, again, this makes no sense. He wouldn't look like this. He wouldn't.
They came up... Keith, they came up with a really stupid idea to explain this. Because he's been running for like 800 years, he decided to make himself look older.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I'm not making that up. That's in the reviews. That's the explanation. The laziest thing they could come up with. He made
I
himself
mean,
look
I get that it would cost a lot of money to de-age him, so I guess it's a budget thing. But I don't know, because I really do like this character, and also we already had a version of him from the there was what was the Voyager episode? There was an episode where
Living Memory.
So this would be about that time, wouldn't it? Literally.
Yes.
And in terms, you know what? If you guys think about them lifting ideas, Deep Space Nine had a great episode late in the day. It's called Valiant, where Nog and Jake were on that ship with the other cadets. And they got into a real war situation. That was probably more dramatic and tense than these kids will be.
I listen. The girl in the center there is everything that's wrong with current day entertainment. Nobody wants to see that shit, right? It's not because she's black. It's not because she's a woman. It's because she's that weird shit. Well, can we just see? You know. Somebody wrestle with a fucking Gorn. And like, how hard is this to do?
If she was Rabbi, if she was,
let's do the exact opposite of Star Trek and see how that works. No, fuck you,
Rabbi. If she was wrestling with the Gorn, my money would be on her.
Yeah, me too.
Can you imagine these kids up against? Can you imagine these kids up against the Gorn from the Strange New Worlds episode in season 1?
Christ, I can picture these kids going up against Wesley Crusher.
Oh. The funny thing is that Robert Picard, in Picardo, it looks like he's got some wind, so perhaps you could go around and burp him, Rabbi.
I love
Robert Picardo.
I love that comment.
He's just come out as being woke as fuck recently, and fuck off, Robert, and that's why he's in this. I mean, they're just God.
I love
Robert Picardo in this picture is saying, "I really want to meet a woman that looks like this."
Yeah, no,
that's kind of what he's
I love
doing
the comment
here
somebody's put in the chat. He's a doctor, not a member berry. Brilliant. I love that.
You know what? I might do a Rabbi's commentary track that you can watch with the show.
Please do.
I think that might be all. I think that's
Maze 4 here. Rabbi says it already sounds terrible. And now we get Karen's in space, adds Lucy Meow. Gen Z's Police Academy. This could be, according to Funky. And speak up, Holly, says Peter Rich. Yeah, she does do a lot of whispering, doesn't she? She's quite gravelly. It's going to be... So he's going to be overacting. She's going to be underacting. Or trying to underact, but actually overacting as well. This is either going to be brilliant or unwatchable.
Oh, it's going to be awful. It is going to be...
I'm not prejudging though.
I am.
Oh, I know you
Does he have the typical American female vocal fry? You know.
No. She was the one from the Zack Snyder Superman movie, the one with Lex Luthor,
Batman,
right? And she had they had a little like bottle of piss on the table with the senator.
Oh, that was her.
Right.
Granted, like
right, yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, so I think she's got a very like southern drawl in this.
Okay.
So consider yourselves well teased for Starfleet Academy. It begins in a few days. It begins in a few days' time on the 15th of January.
Can I just say that and I really honestly am. I'm not kidding. I am not prejudging it. I'm going to go into it and look at it on its own merit.
Me too.
But I think that the slogan, considering what we've been talking about, "Step into your future," is kind of an unfortunate choice for a tagline for this show.
although I would like to be fully transparent because I believe in transparency. I am going into this with a very clear bias. I am prejudging it. I am going to kick it up the ass, and I will probably have no voice left by this time next week because I will have finished recording my voiceover. I want this to burn in hell. And once again, this will be the last time I say it in this stream. Skydance. Okay, so this doesn't officially become canonized until you press publish on Thursday. Even though you sent it out, it's not official yet. You got that publish, but it's like when we upload a video, you hit publish, it's out there. So
it's forever.
So this is my plead. Once again, I know I've been saying this for a year. I'm going to say it. This is the last time I'm able to say it because next week will be too late. Okay, so instead of the publish button on on the thingy that you publish things on Paramount Plus on, okay, so there's the publish button. No, there's an option where you can delete video. So rather than publish, go delete video. Just send out a statement, kind of like the Batgirl thing. We have decided to pull this and write it off for taxes because it would do infinite damage to the brand. So. Again, my last plead.
Like the rabbi's just nodding sagely.
Not press publish.
Chris, and I'm not kidding. They are actually at this point right now. They are currently filming season 2.
I know why.
Up in Canada. So I think, Chris, a good use of your time this week, since you'll be in the same general area, make up a couple of good protest signs. Go find where they're filming it, and just hold the protest sign and march outside the filming.
That would be hilarious.
I know exactly where they film it too. It's in a bunch of warehouse places.
Okay, so go protest it this week.
I will get. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. It's a few hours to Toronto, but I'll take a couple days away. So I'm going to go make myself a little sign, and I'll stand out there by myself. I'll get Global News to cover it. Angry dude yells to cancel Star Trek.
Make sure one of the. Hey Chris,
I like this comment here. I like this comment here, Gary, from Delin 1213. It just says on YouTube, I will watch anything. At least you're honest.
Chris, please make a double-sided sign. On one side is whatever you think about Starfleet Academy, and then you spin it around on the other side. It says watch Type 40.
Warp Drive
Good
Live.
idea.
Watch Warp Drive Live. Yeah, give us some free advertising.
Have we pushed your buttons, I suppose? Are you zhuzhed up for the 60th anniversary year for Starfleet Academy? How are you going to mark?
That's all I'm saying. I've totally lost my direction.
We've got a flaccid rabbi. How are you going to make? How are you going to compensate for the incoming disaster of Starfleet Academy Season 1? How are you going to make this anniversary year work for you? Because really, it's right what Keith says. The fans are doing the most work, practical work, creative work, and work on ourselves, I suppose, to power our way through. We're going to do our bit here at Warp Drive, and we're going to hope you're going to join in as well. And maybe we'll all make it through together. So we want to know about how you're going to mark the anniversary. Have you got any binge watches planned? Are you going to any conventions or screenings? Any watch parties lined up? All of that stuff. Let us know, and we'll see if we can match you somehow and somewhere. Is that a deal? I think that sounds like a great deal.
Computer, access the new keepsake magic ornament from Hallmark.
Accessing USS Enterprise, a collectible ornament accurately representing the Galaxy-class starship. Ornament carries Earth date 1993 and illuminates in a realistic manner.
The new Starship Enterprise ornament, please.
Replications are copies. Only Hallmark carries authentic keepsake ornament.
Suggest solution.
Call 1-800-HALLMARK.
That's told you. Okay, where are we?
Even that was better than some of the stuff we get.
Okay, so yeah, what a great show, what a fabulous conversation. I think we've covered quite enough for now. I think we've got a little bit angry, but generally speaking, we're in a good place. I feel pretty positive about the mission that is ahead of me. Look, I've still got the TNG and Strange New Worlds rewatch. If it all goes really, really south, that'll keep me laughing. That'll keep me jolly. And of course, I've got good friends to drown my sorrows with, just like Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner were here on the set of TJ Hooker right the way back in, I think that was 83-ish. This brilliant picture.
It's really time for a TJ Hooker movie. I can't believe they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Fall Guy film from a couple of years ago with Ryan Gosling in. Who would you cast? Who would you cast as TJ Hooker, Rabbi? Who would you pick?
I was going to say Ryan Gosling again. Yeah, I just haven't constantly repeat William Shatner. I think it kind of works.
Put him in everything.
No, Ryan Gosling would be in the Heather Locklear role. with a wig.
Actually, speaking of roles, Keith, I have a question for you. As an actor, and you had the choice, could you be a Star Trek hero or Star Trek villain? What would you go for?
Oh, well, the thing is, I'll be honest, I've always wanted to be one of those sort of acting wish list things, as I've always wanted to be on the bridge of a starship in a uniform. So unless I was like a spy from the Marquis or something. So I could be a villain and be in the
you never know
uniform. You know,
there's plenty of opportunities. If not in official Trek, then in unofficial Trek. I hear that Pornhub are making a pastiche of Starfleet Academy already. They could be looking for a senior officer. You could sneak in there.
Are we going to be reviewing that?
Partial nudity could be involved.
Listen, I could just about maybe try and watch Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I'm not watching the porn parody. Oh, that's just like that's when you know your life's gone bad, right? Yeah, that's when you go to the strip club so you can have the free buffet, right? That's when you know your life's in the shit.
Surely that would make your 60th anniversary, Rabbi. Let's look at some more comments. Kurtzman has to go. Maze 4 keeps saying it in the live chat. From your lips and posts to their ears. That's all I've got to say. And Donnie says
should be punished by having to clean up the holodeck after Riker was in it. Right? That's all I'm saying. He's going to need. He's going to need some hazmat gear.
Riker and Minuet have been going at it.
We've got a comment here from Rose Kirby, which I think tells us so much about where we are with Star Trek right now. Rose asks, Happy New Year, Rose. She says, does any of the panel know what year this is set in? So, meaning the new Academy show.
Oh,
I have no idea.
2026.
It's like the 31st century. Isn't it the 31st century?
Fuck knows. They've mauled it. They've fumbled the ball so much with this, and they've coated it in so much nonsense. It's so far into the future that we've got no anchor point for it anymore. I neither know nor care where it is. But it's a perfectly reasonable question that Rose is asking, isn't it?
Very, very good question.
I'm looking it up, actually. I want to know.
Okay, I just Googled. It says apparently it's in the 32nd century, 900 years after Kirk's era.
Oh, God.
There you go. So it's literally the Discovery as of season 3 of Discovery.
Yeah, well, it's a Discovery spinoff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I stopped watching Discovery after season 3 because I just couldn't do it anymore.
Season 4.
I think there were 4 or 5. I
think 5 is the one where I couldn't do it anymore.
It was
I
didn't watch that, and
around 100 years after the burn, says Lucy. The burn was
something that was that season-long plot thing. That was again pretty shit. Really, it was like what? Yeah, it was just bad. It's bad writing. It is bad writing.
Might be okay. Things might turn out okay. They might. But what can we say? We've done our level best here to sort of bring the balance on Warp Drive Live. First of these shows in a number of years. Hope you've enjoyed it. I think a shakedown mission, I think, on Warp Drive Live as we gear up to cover Starfleet Academy and heaven knows what else on Warp Drive, a Star Trek podcast that's coming up next week too. So make sure you're here and there over on the brand new Warp Drive Star Trek YouTube channel. So that's recently been launched. Our previous editions of Warp Drive from our run in 2020 and the series we made in 2023, they're all dropping there right now on the daily. So you can see younger versions of all of us, or most of us, over there talking about Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Discovery and classic Star Trek and Lower Decks and all manner of things. If you head over to the Warp Drive YouTube channel and see what you can find. But the rest of us, we're heading back to school next, Chris. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to hear. But I think between us, Chris, we're going to make sure it's fun somehow, even if we do a lot of ranting, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think some of us are gonna have to call Chris on Thursday to check on him on how
I think we should do live watch-alongs.
Oh, you don't want that. You'll get this channel banned.
Oh,
Dan, you
Frank.
you forgot to mention in your promo, Dan, that people can go back and watch our amazing Section 31 review stream.
Of course, that's still up. I'll make sure the link to that is in the video description. That was an episode of the previous incarnation of our live stream. So we'll put a link in there, or we might even repost that as well. So yeah, we endured the Section 31 TV movie from around a year ago, didn't we? And yeah, that was a lively one as well. So if you want an inkling of quite how hard we can go in on this stuff, then you'll find out if you check out our review of Section 31. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, so thank you, Gary. Thank you for bringing the shirt. You know, it's just an added bonus that you're inside it.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm all in on Trek. It was my first fandom since I was a little kid, watching it every night with my mom on the, and it was so boy, I'm all in for this.
Oh, that's lovely.
How about you, David? Are you sort of spurned on, or are you recoiling at the thought of more Star Trek talk here with us at Warp Drive at some point in the future, some star date in the future?
No, I'm looking forward to joining you all next week because I want to know what happens to the dear old man, and I'm looking forward to giving you my views of the first Starfleet Academy. I'm amazed. I imagine it will be as non-partisan as Chris's opinion, and the rabbi's opinion too. And I would love to update you, if I may, briefly next week about how I've found my voyage into Stranger Things season 1. If that's okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
You mean wait?
He means
Strange
New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. Yeah, Strange New Worlds. Sorry, there's so many strange titles out there at the moment. It gets one gets confused. But thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for the recommendation of Strange New Worlds. I promise I will give that a go and let you know how I got on this time next week.
Get on it, yeah. It's good to have you back as well, Keith. I can sense that you're still not convinced about Starfleet Academy, and I can't say I blame you, but I do hope that we've convinced you to return for another mission with us at some point in the future when we talk about stuff that might bring another smile back to your face.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's so much stuff on at the moment. I'll be honest, I was not planning to watch because I'm not a completist anymore when it comes to Star Trek, and I wasn't planning on watching this because it's so adjacent to everything else. I don't really think it's that important, but maybe I'll check out the first episode. Maybe. I mean, here's the thing: the last time you had me on, it was about something I was initially excited about, with the alien Earth thing, and I didn't join you towards the end, unfortunately, but. That was I was so terribly let down by that show, and that was a show I was excited about. So this one, I'm not even excited about.
I can't even imagine. Right? I can't.
I like this review of Section 31 from Maze 4 Rabbi. Section 31 was worse than throwing up backwards.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I watched your stream on that. And I actually felt like you were being kept hostage, like Terry Waite and Brian Keenan were, during that horrendous sort of. You looked like you looked.
We were all shell shocked.
It was horrifying.
You looked harrowing. You really had harrowed expressions on your faces.
I like the sexy Delton. I thought that was a kind of a good idea.
Until they killed her off 5 minutes in.
Exactly.
I thought the idea of sexy Delta
because what's the name? Persis Kabumba, whatever.
Kambata.
She was just never that sexy, and and especially Sulu, like drooling over. I mean, come on, mate. He's not that good an actor, right? I mean,
Rabbi, thank you.
She was a beautiful woman.
Thank you for making it through on this mission as well. What is the status of your crackers? I'm amazed you've lasted this long.
They're cream beyond belief, mate. Oh, God. What a thing on the
cream the crackers.
How long are we going? I'm dying here.
Well, I'm glad that you've made it through for us and for Graham in the live chat here on YouTube, who says, much enjoyed, makes these dreary Saturday evenings that bit more bearable. What a brilliant late review there from Graham. I don't think I can top that.
Graham.
Chris, obviously...
Hello.
when I do watch episode 1 of Starfleet Academy, I'll be thinking of all of you, wondering what you're going to say. But we'll find out, I suppose, when we reconnect. When we reconnect next week for more, we will be live. We will be vocal. We won't pull any punches at all. That's what people expect from us.
Oh, you forgot the story.
Part of the fun.
I had an update on Frank.
Oh no, he's not in Strange. It's not in Star Trek Academy, is he?
Oh no.
So if you all remember, we weren't supposed to be here now because Frank had betrayed humanity and joined forces with Satan. But unfortunately, it seems that even Satan has had enough of Frank and his shit. So things have taken a turn. Satan is not happy. And as you can tell, Frank is not having a good day. So as long as he's chasing Frank, the rest of us are fine. So everybody,
put that on a t-shirt.
You need best. I'd say pray for Frank, but I think we're all sick of Frank. So we'll just we're now rooting for Satan.
We're root for Satan.
Oh, I've been rooting for Satan for a while.
Every time. We're all going. Look, what could be worse than going back to school? Going back to school in the 25th century with the cast of Starfleet Academy. That's where we'll be next time. That's where we'll see you out there. The time to warp out, everybody. Thank you so much for your company. And we'll see you in the comments. Enjoy the rest of your week if you can. Bye-bye.